So this is our message from Jolyn Armstrong. Um, Sit back, relax, and listen to what she has to say.
Hi, Mamas. I'm so grateful to be holding this space with you on this very special Mother's Day weekend. I wish I could be there with you in person and instead of from a distance with nothing but my laptop to record this for you. But thank you, Kate, for allowing this. And I will apologize in advance for any background noise. I am not in a private space today, but anyway, I wanted to reach out to all of you because this time is for us, for others to hold us in gratitude and love, and for us to hold ourselves and each other in kindness and honor as well. And we get to love our children in our own way, as fiercely as we choose, whether they are here beside us or held separate by incarceration. This experience challenges us to find ways to honor our role as a mother in ways that we didn't plan on as our children were growing in our lives. But as a group, I really think that we're up to the challenge. And attending spaces like this allows us to support each other in this challenge. And I'm honored to be holding this space with you, even if it is from a bit of a distance. I appreciate Kate for providing this space, as she feels a little bit like the mama of the Mommas to me right now. So I love you, Kate. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about my time with my son during his incarceration and celebrating Mother's Day the best that we could. So during his incarceration, we became well practiced in spending time together from a distance. For Mother's Day, several of the years that he was incarcerated, we would each get a similar treat. He got his favorite treat from commissary, and I either tried to match the treat that he got from commissary, usually at a gas station, right? Gas station treats, or I would get my favorite treat. And we would set a time on Mother's Day where we could either have a phone call, those were the good times, and we would enjoy that treat together as we were on the phone and just kind of imagine that we were having a Mother's Day brunch together. Some years we weren't able to even do that. So we just set a special, a time aside where we would each enjoy our treats and just as vividly as possible, imagine our favorite time together, having a good time together. And during those times when we couldn't be on the phone together, we would talk about it later and kind of compare our experiences. And it was kind of amazing, actually, how often we were sharing the same image of our time together. And it just made that so special. And we kind of reveled in how it was our own special thing, very unique to our relationship because of this experience. So we learned that the DOC can keep us physically separated, but not emotionally. And we became much closer during his incarceration. So I see that single aspect of our experience being a blessing among the loss and heartache. But I know that there are some of you who are struggling to find connection with your son during this time, and my heart goes out to you. I want to say this especially for you. There's nothing in this world that can remove your role as a mother. Even during times of strain in our relationships with our sons or daughters, I should include daughters, we're still their mother, and there is no one else on earth like a mother. Sometimes we have to honor ourselves and hold space with those who will share in that with us, like this group we're in today. And I really think the quiet power of a mother, even in kind of times of emotional distance, is the greatest power on earth. And we get to honor that this weekend. With that, and in respect of my time, I would like to end with a poem that helped me. I don't know who wrote it. Maybe one of you will recognize this poem and its author. It's entitled "For the Parents of One Who Has Committed a Crime." Okay, so I'll read it to you now. No one else can see beauty in his darkened life now. His image has closed like a shadow. When people look at him, he's become the mirror of the damage he's done. But he's yours, And you have different eyes that hold his yesterdays in pictures no one else remembers. Waiting for him to be born, not knowing who he would be, the moments of his childhood, first steps, first words, smiles and cries, and all the big thresholds of his journey since. He is yours in a way no words could ever tell, and you can see through the stranger this deed has made him, and still find the countenance of your son. Despite all the disappointment and shame, may you find in your belonging with him a kind place where your spirit will find rest. May new words come alive between you to build small bridges of understanding. May that serenity lead you beyond guilt and blame to find that bright field of the heart where he can come and feel your love. Until it heals whatever darkness drove him, and he can see what it is he's done and seek forgiveness and bring healing. May this dark door open a path that brightens constantly with new promise. All right. Bless you on Mother's Day. Love you all.
Thank you to Jolyn. All right, Dr. Donna, I'm trying to figure out how to get you over here without everybody else over here too. So how do I do that? Somebody help me. Oh, you're on mute.
There's a way to highlight, and I forget how. There you go. All right.
How do I do that though? I still see.
Yep, I see me. I'm the only person I see. I don't know what about anybody else, but if you close this, maybe if you close your screen.
Okay.
Stop sharing. Yeah.
Stop.
Anyway.
Here. Okay.
Dr. Donna here. When Kate asked me to speak, I said, what am I going to talk about? Well, she made it easy because she said, how to navigate life when your loved one is freedom challenged. And freedom challenged is a term that I've used for years. I don't use inmate. I don't use convict. I don't use any of that. Our children, our husbands, our whoever is freedom, they are freedom challenged. So, you know, when we get into this space, we have to change the narrative of our mindset. And I believe we change it in two ways, emotionally and verbally, i.e., changing the word freedom challenge to something that is more palatable. We adjust our emotional mindsets because we change. We go through grief, sadness, bitterness, jealousy, helplessness, depression, to a stance of advocacy, self-organizing, financial reorganization, and self-preservation. We adjust our verbal mindsets by not using their language, but using our language, changing the language from inmate, prison, jail, incarceration, and all the other labels that they want to put on our children or on our loved one. We should use statements like freedom challenge. They are residents of facilities. So as we go through these changes, one of the things that I did mention was organizing your finances. We got to organize our budgets to accommodate the packages, the phone charges, the food sales. There is a food sale going on right now in San Quentin. 3 tacos, $30. A sandwich, $28. I mean, come on with that. Price gouging at its top. So we have to learn how to put our loved one on a budget and stick to it. We shouldn't be using cash apps. We shouldn't allow them to be calling us on a contraband phone and all those other no's and do not. We have to develop boundaries with our loved ones, not only on finances, but How do they act with us on the phone? I don't know how many times I've read statements and little vignettes on Facebook, and he was yelling at me. Up, if Randy even thought about yelling at me, I would click, end it, and I would not answer the phone. We don't want to even go through that because Randy knew from day one that's not how you gonna act with me. So, I think that that's something we all had to maybe go through or learn about, or maybe not even experience it, but we can support those that do and have gone through it and are going through it. Also, how do we deal with the children and the spouses and the girlfriend relationships? I don't have that problem, but I have helped and supported those that do. And how do you address family news? Do you tell them? Don't you tell them? I do, because I think that they need to not just live in that little box, in that world, in that subculture, but they still need to be a part of our world. They are our children. They are our husbands. They are our loved ones. The big thing is that I think that we have to learn how to become advocates for ourselves, for our families, and for our loved ones. It's a carceral community. It's a subculture. We should be reading articles and books and staying up on the news in your state, in the facility where your son or your daughter or your loved one resides. Search out all the Facebook sites that are connected to maybe their facility. I know San Quentin has one. We just mentioned one that we are connected to in the chat. And any personal advocacy. And above all, keep a notebook. Start a notebook. I think I've filled about 5 of them. I don't know, they're all under my desk here. But in that notebook, you're going to have everything that is connected to your loved one. You also got to realize that there are emotional stages with this journey too. It's the shock, it's the denial, it's the bargaining, it's the questioning. The initial arrest or apprehension. Then it's the legal journal and all the jargon and the lawyers and the money and all of that. And then some of us had to deal with media coverage. And then maybe the trial and plea deals. And then the family issues all entwined in there. And then the waiting in county jail until the prison detention begins. You're in a holding pattern next in some prison that your son or daughter is not going to be at anyway. And then until the final facility is assigned. And then it's the final landing. And that's the last pretty much leg of the journey, unless they transfer to other facilities. But wherever they land, new notebook, label it, start, get to know where your loved one lands. Know every department. Use that notebook to keep the extensions, the mailing addresses, what you can and cannot order, what you can and cannot mail. How do you mail? When you mail a brown envelope in California facilities, that little tab, that metal tab, has to be cut off in the back. If you don't cut it off, your mail goes in a bin and you may not ever see it. And your loved one may not ever see it. Know how to order from the companies that particular facility uses. And how do you deal with this price gouging and the commissary, and get to know who is who and what is what. This is all to help you with your mindfulness and peace. And yes, lean on all the administration. Call them up. I called up San Quentin the other day because it was taking too long for Randy to come to a video visit. And they said, "Oh, hi, Dr. Donna." I'm like, "Who the heck? What the heck?" Like I was calling one of you, and they said, "Oh, this is Sergeant Ramirez." Oh, hey, how you doing, Sergeant Ramirez? So that's what I'm saying. Make sure that it's not that you have to be on a first name basis, but know who to call and who to talk to. Design a new life of self-care. How do you establish your personal mindfulness as you wait for the phone calls, the letters, the video visits? Place all your worry in a spot that allows you to live as you and your family navigates this new subculture. Establish a support system. Here we are, ladies. Here we are. We are part of your support system. Every second Saturday, we are here for you, here for all of us. Get into the groups. Use that Facebook group, but be aware of your conversations and your vulnerability. But we're all here to support each other. So I leave you with peace, calmness, mindfulness, and Dr. Donna is always here for you. I am a realist. I don't go through crying and none of that. Ask me a question, I'll tell you the answer. If I don't know it, I'll find it out for you. So I thank you for this time. Happy Mother's Day. And thank you, Kate, for allowing me to speak.
Hey, always an honor, and you help us to be brave, Dr. Donna. Next up is Lisa Renee. Lisa, I'm going to put the spotlight on you, and if you want to unmute, let's see. There we go. All right.
All right. It's raining really bad here, so if my internet starts messing up, you'll already know why. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kate, for allowing me to be here. And my journey started in 2017. The journey with TDCJ started in 2021, and it has been a ride. I always encourage, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm a part of a group called TPCA, which is Texas Prisons Community Advocates. And my role in that organization is I write letters for the incarcerated for Region 4 in Texas. So if their parents or the wife or whoever doesn't understand the system, and I've just educated myself, just dive in and just learn, like Dr. Donna was saying, learn everything about those facilities that you need to know the key people. Like Dr. Donna says, when they answer the phone and they say, "Oh, who's calling, please?" I say, "This is Lisa Stalker." "Oh, okay, hold on, Miss Stalker, hold on." And they'll get me to the right person because I've been communicating with them, and they know I've the warden. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes I've had to get with the warden so that he understands I'm not going to tolerate you mistreating my child. I'm not going to tolerate anyone that comes to me as an advocacy space. I'm going all the way in for them. There's been plenty of times where false cases were written against my son or any of the other young men that are there with him. And I take it all the way up to Huntsville. I go past, and I'm from a military family, so I go completely past the chain of command and I go straight to the top so that I can get some answers and I can get some resolution for the individuals that need it, and they need it right now. So in the groups, I see a lot of mothers, girlfriends, or whoever the relationship, whatever the relationship is, say, "I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers so that retaliation happens." That's where prayer and faith come in. So I pray over the individuals before I write the letters. I have the faith intact because this has been a long, long journey. It seems like I've been in here for over 20 years, and it's only been since 2017. So I encourage any of you to, if your faith is weak, start reading your word. it will build your faith. And when individuals come and say, oh, I have this particular issue and nothing's being done, I'm not tooting my own horn, but that's when I put my rockets on. I put my gloves on and I dive in there, and I don't take no for an answer. I don't care who I have to call, who I have to speak to, and letting them know that no, this is not what's going to happen to my loved ones or anyone that I'm advocating for. I had an opportunity back in April to go to they were having the sessions for the legislators. And I got a chance to go with that through the group TPCA. And anyone that doesn't know about TPCA, they're a wonderful group. All of the paperwork, legalities of it, everything about this journey is provided through TPCA. Everything. And if they don't know it, they're going to reach out to Huntsville and they're going to drop it in our boxes. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is who you need to write. And I have the policies printed out. So when I'm writing my letters, I refer to those policies, and that gets their attention. They know that I know what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing. So they're not playing games any longer. And when family members step up, they do take note. My son says often, Mom, I thank you for your advocacy, because the other individuals around him says they give him high fives when I go to bat with the warden or whoever else is involved, and we get the result that we need. So they're high fiving him all the time, and they will say, I've even had them to have my son to call me on their behalf, and I in turn reach out to their family members, and I've written letters for mothers, grandmothers, and just show them the way, because I had to learn this system on my own until I found TPCA. So it is well worth you knowing those policies. Anything to do with anything, know it, learn it. I have a file on my computer, and I keep those documents there so they're a quick go-to. I don't have to go searching for them again. But I would say to the mothers here, pray, build your faith, build your stamina. Don't say no to anything concerning your loved one, because as mothers, we are a special breed of humans, because we're going to treat our children like no one else is going to treat them. So that's why we have to advocate. We have to get in there. We have to dig in. We have to dust whatever is going on in our mental. And I know a lot of times for me, it gets very emotional. So those are the times that I shut the laptop and I walk away. And that allows me to regain some clarity, some balance. I'm able to calm my emotions, and I can just move forward again at that point. I'm not saying it's easy, it's not, but it's doable. And if you take care of your mental health, and if you have any questions, I don't know how many or if anyone is here from Texas, but if there is a question you have about anything TDCJ wise, if I don't know it, I can find it for you quickly, because that's the type of support that I have. And I'm so grateful for Amit Dominique, who started TPCA. I think she started in 2019. There's another group here in Texas called TIFA. They're another wonderful group. We all went to went to Austin. I want to say the White House, but it's not the White House. And we toured where the legislators sat. We went to their office, introduced ourselves, and they would some of them would ask us to come in and ask us what our issues were. We would have a conversation just like we're having right now. No intimidation, none of that. We just sit and tell them, I am your constituent. This is the problem I'm having. What are you going to do about it? And when they're writing the different bills, I make phone calls and remind them, hey, this bill is on the floor. I need for you to take a look at it. If you don't know anything about it, I can send you the information about it so that you are abreast of what's happening here, because they may have a particular interest that bill that's before them, they know nothing about. So if we as constituents are giving the information to them and staying on top of them through email, making a visit, and we could just get their attention and change their minds about what they're voting on because they just don't know. So it's very important to stay involved, and for what keeps myself and my son going is I talk to him every day. This Mother's Day, he and some a lot of times he'll say, "Mom, I'm worried about the phone. I don't want to run up your phone," but I said, "Listen, I got this, okay? I got this. Just make that phone call to me every day, and I know the minute I hear his voice, I know where he is mentally. I know it, and I'm sure you mothers know as well. So that's why it's so important for me and for him to talk. And normally the first thing he'll say to me is like, besides, "Hey, Mom," he'll say, "What's going on out there?" And that for me is okay. Give him the update. What's going on in the family? Is there anything that he needs to know? Because he absolutely does not like me to hold anything back that is going on in the family. So I respect that, and I let him know, and he's able to process it. If there's any family member that he may need to speak with, I'll let them know, and he'll give them a call. So most of the family that matters, he has access to by phone, or they just receive their tablets. So we get e-messaging back and forth, and I love it, Dr. Donna. Yes, e-messaging is the bomb. I can stay in contact with him, by phone. I can put money on his account so that he has access to make phone calls to anyone that he chooses to make phone calls to. And it just, when he got the tablet and I got his very first message, which was like about 3 weeks ago, he was like, Mom, I got it. I got your message. And then he was just so excited about it. And being able to communicate with him that way, it's like, hey, I can. So I'm at work sitting down checking my phone because it doesn't give you a direct notice of the e-message that has come through. So I'm checking my phone, and then it'll say incoming message. And then I click it, and then I, read his message, and then I can respond to him right away. And he gets it right. Most times he gets it within 2 days. Sometimes we're blessed that he will get it the same day, and then we can go back to back like I'm texting him. We get in the groove, we can go back to back, and I always, for those who are here that may be in Texas, I always add a stamp so that he can reply back to me. So it's in my budget, like Dr. Donna was saying. We've got to create a budget. We know these things need to occur, and it's for their mental health, to stay in contact with him. I had a young man I met a few days ago. He said, we were talking about the communicating with someone who's incarcerated. He said, "Ma'am, I would tell you, any of your loved ones, the most important thing for you to do is speak to them as often as you can to keep their minds clear, to keep their minds uncluttered, because TDCJ is not telling them anything good about themselves." So those are our jobs, to tell them the good things about themselves, and just stay on top of positivity, because they're not hearing it. They just are not. And I'd like to brag on my son. He's now completed. He's a licensed, what do you call it? Not a CPA. Darn it. What are the people that that help the lawyers? What are the names called?
Paralegals.
Paralegal. I don't know why that just went away from me. He is now.
Yay.
So he is now a licensed paralegal. So now
Wow.
he's able to help others write the different
And yeah, motions and things of
the
that.
motions, right? He's able to help them now, and it took him about 2.5 years to do it, but he has done it. It's complete. It's in his bag right now. So I'm so proud of him. I am so proud of him, and he doesn't back down. If I wouldn't advise everyone to be this way in TDC or any other system, but when they speak to him in a way that is not correct, he corrects them. He says, "Mom, I have to stand up, not for myself, but for those that are around me, because a lot of them, like I said before, they are intimidated And when the family members begin to step in, they're intimidated. So they will do retaliation. But if you stay there and stick and stay in there and start going up above those wardens, which I do often, I told him, I'm here as long as my son is here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not afraid of you. And I dare you to retaliate on my loved one. I don't advise everyone to say that, but that's how I deal with them. Because I'm adamant about our loved ones being treated as they are humans, not as though they are there, they received their sentence already. They're here to serve it. They're
Yeah.
not there. They're not there for you to step in and do what you're going to do on top of it. And another bragging point too, one individual who was harassing my son, writing false cases on my son, my daughter and I teamed up and started writing the higher ups. He got fired. So he can no longer mess with anyone in TDCJ. He's out now selling cars. So we just have to stay on top and take our advocacy, to heart and know that we are our loved one's voice. We are their strength. We are their sanity. And each time that they reach out to us on a phone call, just drill them with positivity. And, things, tell them, if they are brilliant at a certain thing, just tell them that.
Yeah.
Because you are probably the only person telling them that. Just stay on top of what you need to do as an advocate, and we become automatic advocates as mothers, so there's no getting away from it. But there are groups like this group here and other groups that are on Facebook. If you just do a search for a particular unit, there is someone there to help you, and they give like right now answers. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I have needed to know that it took over 24 hours to find out. So just dig into the groups, support one another as we're doing here, and build your faith, mothers. Build your faith.
Amen.
Amen.
Lisa, Renee, thank you so much for sharing. We just love you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move to Tosha Smith Mills, and first of all, I'm gonna read something that Tosha wrote a few years ago, and then she will share. So I'm gonna share the screen just so you can all read along. Dear mothers, if you ask any mother what is most important to her, she will respond with absolute conviction, my children. Where would our children be without their mothers? For most of us, we are the foundation of our households. We are made to push through obstacles without breaking down, while continuously trying to make the breakthrough. Dear mothers, we are fearless and bold. We are the lifelong cheerleaders. We are made to be strong and build our children with an aptitude for success and without limitations. We are nurturers and heroes. Regardless of what happens in our own lives, we always persevere and move forward. When we are sick, we simply medicate ourselves with no complaint to others. If we have moments of fear or weakness, we go to an area when no one can see us. In that spot, we let out a big sigh, have a cry, stand up, and push through despite never knowing what lies ahead. When our hearts break and we are engulfed with pain, the only person that truly knows what we are going through is God. Being a mother is the greatest job in the world, but it is also an endless job. Despite of all of this, mothers are not perfect. Dear mothers, while mothers inspire dreams and possibilities, there are wounds and misfortunes along the way. No one ever told mothers that such wounds and misfortunes would leave crushed inside, suffering massive amounts of pain. No matter the pain, mothers will endure it because of the immense love for our children. Mothers are educators, disciplinarians, confidants, and best friends to their beloved children. When the unexpected happens, our painful heartbreak runs deeper than any abyss of darkest oceans. The pain of our children will always overshadow the pain of our own past.
Yes.
Dear mothers, our duty is to not only hear our children, but to listen to them. There will be things we are excited to hear and we celebrate. Unfortunately, there are also things that will bring us to our knees with a sorrowful reality, intimidating our souls. Repeatedly, there will be times we must mute our voices even when we have so much to say, so we may listen to our children. Our children need to have a voice, and as mothers, we know this is a necessary part of their growth. As much as we try to prevent any pain from harming our children, we are also aware that there will be times we cannot prevent such sorrow. During those times, we must stand firm that God will fix all unimaginable events, even if we do not bring them to Him. Dear mothers, give life your children with a love so beautiful, there is no scholar that can define it. Mothers can also chip away life with their own thoughts, actions, and ever-changing experiences. In our life-shattering moments, we cry rivers. Some of us have been raped, beaten, and brutally broken, yet we rise. We usually stand in silence because that is what we are taught. Mothers are amazing women who love so unconditionally. Mothers and their children are in a category all of their own. There's no bond so strong in the entire world, no love so instantaneous and forgiving. From Gail, don't know how to say the last name. So, on that note, we're going to pin the spotlight on the one and only Tosha Smith Mills. Tosha, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Actually, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Texas, about to go see my son who sits in a prison here. I'm from New Orleans, and I've been on this journey for the last 15 years now. Many of you know me. I've written a book called Mama, I Should Have Listened, A Voice of Pain and Power. I'm working on a docuseries called Unheard Voices, A Mother's Quest for Freedom, which speaks to the trauma of mothers enduring the trauma of having a child that is incarcerated or killed by police brutality or prison brutality. And I've been on this journey for about 4 years with this documentary. Tomorrow, my son and I starting yesterday, we had a Mother's Day special that came out on his Instagram, and his Instagram is at It's Christopher Horn. Again, on Instagram at It's Christopher Horn. And Jayette, one of the mothers here, who's a mother out of New York, who I absolutely adore. She's part of the Mother's Day program. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for all of your support. Again, I've been on this journey for a while now, so I'm always here to open up. I'm always open up to questions and to give advice. I haven't been active as much as I want to because life does happen. Work happens. We have to work. We have to continue on. But for the new mothers, if I can say one thing to you, I want to say, hold on. Because we are all on this journey for a reason. I do believe that nothing happens just for a reason. It happens as a result of something else. So in our documentary, we speak on that something else. What accountability and responsibility are we taking in everything that has partaken here? And sometimes we don't realize that. But sometimes God is set us back up, to live in our purpose. I do not believe nothing is done by mistake. We are all here for some reason, whether it's to help another mother out of what she's going through or to teach us a lesson. I'm very adamant, and I think about that all the time. How did I get here? But then how do I help heal a nation? And so I got here 14 years ago. My son got 40 years for a crime that he did commit. So I'm going to say that again, a crime that he did commit. He robbed someone in Texas, ran away from New Orleans after Katrina, came to Texas, robbed someone in Texas, didn't have to do any of this. My son was an actor. He was a model. He did off-Broadway plays in New York City. He did not have to do what he did. So in turn, he was punished. Am I fighting for him being innocent? Absolutely not, because I am one of those parents that take accountability and responsibility. But what I do fight for is injustice of time. 40 years is a long time to give a 17-year-old kid for a crime where no one was hurt or injured. But working in legal, what I do know is sometimes you get more time for armed robbery than you do murder, because that victim is never victimless again. They have to live with the torture. My son right now is in a faith-based prison where Blake teaches Bible study. He's a pastor in prison. Freedom Challenge men in that prison come up to him and ask him to pray for him, because that's what he was taught. And what I do know is when you're raised up a certain way, you never depart from it. So mothers, don't feel like you have done something wrong. Just feel like we're a part of this community, this incarceration community, because we need to be here. There are a few tips I will tell the young mothers, not young mothers, but the mothers in this group that I've been through. I've been extorted in my early years. I've been asked for thousands of dollars. I've sent thousands of dollars. My son has been beaten. My son has been bruised. My son has been sick. His appendix have burst. I've received $100,000 bill because of him being hospitalized. But he's still here, and I still can visit him within those prison walls. Do not allow your sons to call you on a phone that a contraband phone, a phone that he's paying for. When your son asks you to cash app him money, I do not believe in cash apps, because I know that leads to a bigger legality, which basically means they're doing something that they have no business. It's either gambling, it's either buying drugs, it's so many different things, but it's not the right thing to do. I also do not allow this, and my son don't allow it as well, because in this faith walk, he's very obedient. We don't allow three-way calls. We just don't do it. I will put enough money on the phone if you want to call someone else. But that's another charge that we don't think about. Texas is very hard. I visit some of the sons in prison, especially in New York, where you can send food and they can dress with jeans and they can have different outfits. In Texas, we're only allowed to send $70. We're only allowed to buy $70 worth of food in a two or three and a quarter. We can send money as often as we want, but they're not allowed to go to store as often as they want. Again, we don't have air conditions. We don't have heaters. You know, I'm learning a lot. You know, my son is cooling off soft drinks in the toilet. So some of those things that we also have to be mindful of what they're going through and what their needs are. And those things are very, very, very important. But more importantly, I want to say happy Mother's Day. We are all here, and we're all here for a reason. We're all here because God wants us to be here, whether we know it or not. And when we walk by faith and not by sight, we'll realize that some of these things are going to happen, and our sons are going to come home, and we're going to welcome them in our arms faster than what we even realize. So on this Mother's Day, I'm appreciative. I woke up thanking God this morning. I'm appreciative that I was allowed by God to drive up 7 hours to see my son. My son used to be 18 hours away in the western part of Texas, and I used to have to fly, and that was a financial burden. But God always makes a way, and he's making a way for all of us to be here and have a very special Mother's Day, because this could be so much different. Thank you guys so much. I love you all.
Love you, Tosha.
Tasha, you're the bomb. You're awesome. Whoop, whoop.
It's so good to hear you speak and to hear you uplift